What's up, y'all? This is CC Creations, also known as Corey. You can call me Corey or CC for short, whichever you want to call me. I don't care what you call me. You can call me Big Daddy. I'm just kidding. You don't have to call me that, but you know. But this is gonna be a special video on the breakdown video that I promised you guys for 100 subscribers on YouTube, over on my Instagram. If you missed that, if you don't follow me on Instagram, sorry, it's cc.creations with a Z at the end. So follow me there. I post a lot of my artwork and try to talk or communicate with you guys as well. So this video is going to be about my breakdown that I promised you guys about the great adventure that I created about a day ago. So hopefully you guys learned something new, and I teach you something new along the ways. You guys can follow along with me if you need to. But in this video, I'm gonna be talking about the scene breakdown that I did, how I came up with it, learning the lighting and all that jazz. So let's get to it. All right, guys. So this is gonna be my breakdown video. Before we get started with the video itself, and then moving on to the Blender software and showing you how and where everything is placed and how I did it and all that good stuff that you need to learn or want to know about. Before any of that, I'm gonna show you guys what I use for my like textures and assets and all that good stuff. I just started using Pureref. Pureref is completely free. What it is that you can place all your reference images into one section. There, I can show you an example real quick. If I can find, I have too many files. Right here, for an example, this is Pureref. I've gathered a few photos from Pinterest, which is Jay Pierce. So this idea that I got, the great adventure, I got some ideas from him, from Jay Pierce, and I just collected a lot of photos from Pinterest that I found over there. And you can collect as many photos as you need just to get inspiration from. Anyways, going to back, I'll show you this in a minute. The textures and assets that I use, I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but these are the four main sources that I use, which is Quixel Megascans. You can download a lot of assets, surfaces, 3D plants. That's number one thing that I always use. The next one is textures.com, a really good website to get textures from and assets. CG Access is another really good website to get great textures. And the final one is Ambient CG. Ambient CG is another way to find good HDRIs and including the textures and all that good stuff as well. I don't usually use this one as much because the textures are a little bit if you know what I mean. Right, going to the video, I probably won't do too much explaining in the video, as I'm gonna do more in the scene itself. So it's probably gonna be short in this one, 6 minutes. I'm just gonna be talking about what I did pretty much and how I did it. So right here, I just added a torus and kind of distorted the look of it and added a displacement from the Quixel Megascans and added a rock texture to it. And then I added a plane and then the camera. I usually turn off the lighting first just to get a feel, but I just got to see what I'm doing. But when I place everything, I pretty much turn off the lights so I can learn the lighting better. So right here, I added the texture and then displaced the torus and the modifier tab, added a subdivision. And then right here I added the displace and then played around with the values of it and tried to get it right. Later on I think I tried to get it in the right directory where I was wanting to look, or how it felt for me. Here I'm still playing with the way it looks. Here I just downloaded a lot of, which I'll probably post this for free on my Gumroad. Just a lot of sky sky images as planes that I use in my scenes, and I'll emit that into the scene to make it a little bit brighter for the background image over the skies. So here I'm placing the sky, making it. I usually tilt the plane, which I'll talk about. And here I have two planes. One plane is for the water and the other plane is for the landscape that I'll be sculpting here. I'm just trying to go along those references, the images that I showed you earlier with the Pureref. This is where I got my inspiration, is just trying to, get a good feel of how the terrain should look in my eyes. And just playing around, just trying to get the good composition and sculpt. Here I just added the same texture on the torus onto the landscape, and then here I'm just playing around with the lighting. And then I added another landscape, which is the same landscape that I sculpted right here at the bottom, and then I'll sculpt it again, just trying to get a different shape of it, shape and form. Here I'm just adding a wave texture, a bump node, and a few other textures to the water. And I'll talk about all these into the how it's created in the actual scene itself. Here I added a fog. I used a volume scatter, just playing around with the density and the strophe. I don't know how to say that, pronounce it, but playing around with the values with the volume scatter. There I just I'm using a particle system, playing around with the grass, looking at his references, looking how it's made and structured. Here I'm just playing with the values of the colors and just trying to get it right with the scene. Playing with here I just adjusted more of the tilt of the torus, just trying to make it look good for the angle of where my camera is. I usually don't play around when I get a good feel of the camera. I usually just play around with the models and how I don't really adjust the camera as much as most people do. And here I just duplicated the torus and just made rocks around the whole scene, as you can see in the video, and it still looks pretty good in my opinion. So yeah, I just duplicated that torus and just made a few rocks. Here I'm adding trees to the scene in the background, not very much in the foreground, and I'm just playing with the sea, just trying to get good position of the trees, playing with the color. Most of the time I'll add like 3 to 4 lights in my scene, not too crazy. Here I just added a cloud. Go back. These are the clouds that I purchased from the Pixel Lab, which is another great website for cool assets like clouds, VDB clouds. These are really, really cool. There's lots of clouds you can choose from, and every single cloud has their own like 4K, 2K textures, and sometimes the blender will crash if you're using a higher volumetric cloud. But in the video, if you guys like this video, I'll probably do a separate tutorial on how to do a cloud. Here I'm just placing the cloud just like Jay Pierce's. Then I think I added a second cloud just like up here, yeah, right here, just to make the cloud just like blend in with the background itself and making it look like it's coming at you. Here I'm playing with the values. This was probably hardest part was playing with the values and not looking like it's being torn apart. Here I'm just testing out the render. The cloud, I think the longest part that took me was just getting the cloud right, you know, because every time I bring a cloud into another volumetric, it will tear it up. But I know, for myself, I found a way how to fix that. So if you guys have any problems with putting like a cloud inside another volumetric and it tears open, or like the quality is terrible and your computer slows down, I know a way to fix that. So I'll probably do a video on that later on. Here I'm just testing it out again. Playing with the values or the seed value of the trees again. This one took a while to just to get right. Here I'm importing a character that I got from CG Trader. Everything in this video that I used, I'll leave it down in the description below for you guys to check out. So hopefully that helps. Here I grabbed a icosphere and played with the build of it to break down the wireframes, which I added a wireframe to the icosphere to get those wireframes. And then I used an emission. And then I used an icosphere to place the balls around the wireframe itself to make it look like it's, you know, directing the character as if he's lost into the world of adventure. So this is pretty much like a guidance. I'm just using the RGB to get the colors right. Pretty much in the compositor, I use the RGB and the glare node, and then I'll take it into Photoshop and play around with all the colors and adjusting everything and making it look and feel good. Once I composited everything, making everything look good, I'll go into Topaz Studio and adjusting it a little bit more, getting that painterly effect that you guys see in my scene right here. This is also a free app you can download and use. I really recommend it. Brightening up the scene. And that's pretty much it right there. But yeah, that's the video part of the little breakdown of how I got this scene. All right, going to the scene itself, and here it is. Might be a little bit slow, but I'm gonna break this down the best as I can for you guys. So I'm probably gonna move all of these. There's a lot. All right, starting first. I don't know where to start. All right, I guess we can start with these, and then the light. So as of now, actually, we'll start with this. We'll start with there it is. We'll start with the lighting, I guess. And then we'll move. We'll add in the planes too, I guess. All right. So the lighting I only used one lighting in this scene, which is the sunlight, and that is pointing directly pretty much at the side angle of where the sun is really not pointing, but to make it look good, you always want to make sure that your lighting is looking good for yourself and for others, that it makes sense into the scene. So, but when you put a volumetric into the scene, it's much more better because you're getting more depth into your project, which makes it look way better in my opinion. So if I added this cube, gives that more depth feeling, more looks better. But yeah, so the light doesn't really matter where you place the light for the sun, because it doesn't really change the. Now if you rotate it, it'll change the way it looks, as you can see here. But it doesn't really matter where you place the sun, because it won't change the value of what the light looks like. So we're gonna start off with the torus. I just, as I said earlier, I displaced it, added a subdivision. I usually just add one more level of subdivision into the viewport just to make it look like, just to make it see what it looks like in the render. So I placed it right here and rotated it on the z-axis to get that look on the render side. And the textures, as I said earlier, I used one of the textures on Quixel Megascans and implemented into the as a rock form. Changed when it usually imported as a normal map, and sometimes it's tangent space. I usually put it on world space, which makes the textures look more real, as you can see here. If I was to put it on tangent, you go close, you can see some of the, and change the value of it. It'll change just a little bit. Blender, but I usually go from between world and blend world space, but world is good for this piece. So I used the displacement and dropped the value down of the scale to 180, which was a good feeling to play around with all these. You don't want it too high or it'll be too extreme, just like this. A lower value is much better. Then after that, I duplicated the torus into multiple toruses into the scene, and then I got these. Let me turn off the volumetric to see a little bit better. And then I got all these other rock forms just to put into the scene. The same texture, and I kind of played around with the scale of the displacement just to make it different shapes and whatnot. So there's that. All right, going down to let's see. I guess we can do the sphere maybe. The icosphere. The icosphere, the modifiers, I think I applied them. But what I did was I just added a icosphere, used a wireframe, and then a build modifier just to get this cool look, star look. And then I added a sphere to that icosphere and placed it on the onto, actually I didn't even type, there we go. Here's the here's the modifiers on the icosphere. And then the spheres, as I said, are placed on the vertices, on the edges, as you can see, and not on the faces. They're just on the edges of every point, pretty much. And then I played with the seed for the spheres itself. All right, and then let's go to the landscape. The landscape is Let me hide these real quick. Oops. Maybe. There we go. Landscape is the same texture as the torus. I just played around with the displacement and the bumps, and if you click on the base color and you play around with the UV editor and you scale up the image or scale down the image, it'll look different as well, which also will mess up your displacement. So you don't want too big or too small of a UV. If I was to, you know, go to edit, see how big it is. So now if I shrink it down, see the texture being different. So I play around with the editor as well when I'm texturing, and I use the UV mapping into the vector of the mapping, or the texture coordinates UV into the mapping, just to get a better look of it. If I switch it, it'll look, you know, decent, but I like the UV much better. It unwraps it pretty good. And then kind of sculpted it, as you can see. Sorry, excuse me. As you can see here, kind of spiked it up a little bit. Just I gave it some subdivided attention to it. Just go to edit mode, right click, subdivide it, and I subdivided about like 150 times. But that's that. Then I added some actually I duplicated that landscape and brought it into the back and kind of sized it to my liking. Just get that mountains in the background as well, and some rock. And then I kind of, you know, played with the mountains here. For the foliage, I just added, I usually use Botanic and Nisarga, which is I use Botanic a lot more than I used to use Nisarga a lot more, but I bought Botanic and it's phenomenal. And you know, you can go in here, add whatever you like. I usually add grass first, and I usually use basic A, or, you know, cut grid B, or cut stripped A. And what I usually do is, you know, bring it in, make it edible, turn the Botanic collection off, bring it in, okay? And then drag it over to the side where it's out of the frame, scale it up a little bit, make sure that it's selected, come over to the object properties, make sure that it's on bounds so everything can be much faster on your terrain or your scene, and making sure that whatever you want it to project on, you want to click on that, and then go to the particle system properties tab, and then adding a new one, and then advanced to make sure that you have the rotation on, going down, and vertex groups, which is, if I click here and go to weight paint, this is where I weight painted all of where I want the grass to be, or the trees to be. I usually go here, object data properties, making sure that vertex groups is turned on. You can name it whatever you want. I never name any of my stuff, which I need to. And then right here, I just, you know, add or painted over the terrain that I sculpted wherever I want the grass or the trees to be. It's pretty simple. And yeah, the main thing is just, you know, turning this on bounds, makes your system much faster. All right, as over here, I got the trees. Wait, turn these off. painted. I got 2, or I guess I got 1. So I just got the trees and the grass on the particle system. All right. Now the water. A lot of people like my water, so I probably won't do a full tutorial. I'll probably do like a separate tutorial on the water itself. But you know, I just added a plane from the metallic all the way up. Usually, sometimes you turn the metallic off and turn transmission on, but the IOR to 1.32, or sorry, 1.32, and that works as well. But I always use metallic for some reason. Sometimes I'll turn the alpha down just a little bit, depending on the scene that I'm creating. It's all about what you like. But for the material, I just added a bump node, strengthen it all the way down, invert it, invert the water, the color ramp, adding a wave texture, playing with the values, making it look good, adding another bump node into the bump node for my first texture, which was the wave, making the noise texture underneath the wave texture, or on top of the wave texture, sorry, to make it a little bit more bumpy, and then playing around with the values, with the noise. And as you can see here, I got all of these. You can see the wave texture that's being played. And then I also got the bumps with the noise texture in there. And then I turn all the way down. Making water is probably the funnest thing that you can do in 3D. Alright. Here I just added a character from CG Trader. You can find a lot of characters, or anywhere else. Oops. Here you just got one texture on it, and then you turn roughness all the way up. I usually use specular, just to get more light on the guy. But this ain't gonna be a full tutorial on how to do everything in the texture node area, but this is just a breakdown of the whole scene. Then I added more grass or foliage, flowers into the scene, just to give it more life. Then here, as I said earlier, I just added another asset into the scene. The clouds, which is really hard, and it took me a few minutes just to get right. And then I played with the values, which was in the material properties and the object data properties, which already makes it for you. So you just want to come down here and adjust the density of the viewport so you can see it much better. And then in the render, I usually have it on world. You just got to play around. This is probably the main important ones for the cloud. When you bring in a cloud into another volumetric, it kind of messes up with the tearing inside the cloud itself. So you're gonna have to go to the render settings and play around with these settings to get it just to get it right. But I'm gonna turn these off just to make it much faster. But as I said earlier, I just have 1 point light, which is the sun lamp. Have it directed this way away from usually the sun lamps are coming towards where the light is, but for this scene I kind of like how the lighting is, because you can also see like some light coming or glaring away from this side of the scene right here. But it came out pretty good. I like how it came out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you guys like this video, give me a comment down below, thumbs up, and please subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.